So hello, welcome to the channel, and it's my first look at the West Coast Main Line from Train Sim World 5. Of course, it was released on early access yesterday and it's fully available on Tuesday, but anybody can buy that first access look at this early access. We're going to take a really deep dive into it because there's been plenty of videos already done, but I thought let's try and kind of have a check around, look at the scenery, look at all the stations. There's 50 miles, 28 stations, and just try and take in all the various things that's on board with it. So let's get the game started. You might notice straight away that there's only actually the one route that I've downloaded two routes so far, and I mean there's a whole plethora of content from Train Sim World 4, but I just haven't had the time to do it all really. It takes quite a while, and I just wanted to get the core thing included so that we got the 710, we got the Adventure, as well as all the other stock that's available with West Coast Main Line. So let's start off by having a little look at Euston Station. So perhaps make it slightly earlier than 10 o'clock because I'm not a great fan of some of the lighting, to be honest, as the day goes on. You could argue this music starts to get on your nerves, but I must admit, for dramatic purposes, it's pretty decent. I'm still enjoying it at the moment anyway. Oh, here we go then. Here's Euston Station. Straight away you can see how busy it is. We will have a look at the I was trying to work out which end I was at first. We'll have a look outside in a minute, but let's first of all go and have a little look at the concourse. I know that it was covered in the preview stream. Some of the lighting in and around Euston isn't always great. Crikey, there's a lot of passengers getting off, isn't there? Anybody would think this is supposed to be busy? But as you come up the ramp, I mean straight away this is Euston, isn't it? And in all its concrete griminess. And you look round there, you can see a huge amount of passengers getting off the service. Quite like that as well. Don't run. That's there in real life. Now the concourse at the moment, I mean it's there. Not too many people knocking about. You can see that's where the first class lounge is, and the mezzanine floor, and there's cafes and bars and things up there. The display there you can quite clearly see is blank. But at some point, I'm fairly sure we'll get a mod from somebody. They'll do that invisible wall remover, so people will be able to actually go and have a walk about there. I think even go outside of the station building potentially. So you've got some made-up shops and stuff. Love this as well. I've certainly sat down on those. They're not the most comfortable seats in the world. as far as we go there. You can't again go outside. You can't go into the toilets as well. Oh, safe storage if you want to have your bags kept. I mean, it looks really dark there as well, but then if you turn around it looks okay. The funny thing is, when I looked before, it was kind of bereft of passengers, so I don't know if that's something that they've done, or it's just the fact that there's a lot getting off that particular train. It might be just complete coincidence. Now let's just go down the stairs.
Please do not smoke until you have left the station premises. This includes e-cigarettes.
You can see here the next service. Well, that's interesting. I mean, that's changed. There has definitely been some sort of update since this was released, because when we looked before, it just said the train to, and it didn't actually say the destination. So that's a patch they've sorted straight away. That's great. Okay, it says calling it Glasgow Central. I wonder if that's because it's a train that doesn't stop at Milton Keynes. That might be something. Not sure about that. Yeah, that just says Euston. The train isn't set up yet. You can see there's a driver at the other end. But it's so realistic, station. Now, I've chosen a funny platform to do this, but you can just about see those three flats which kind of dominate Euston Station. And it's good to see them represented. They've got those distinctive blue, yellow and red tops. This is part of Ampthill Square Estate. It's been there since the 60s, but you think of the Train Sim Classic version and literally they were just generic high-rise blocks used, and they look completely wrong, so it's good to see they've done them looking quite realistic. The cladding's metal cladding as well, incidentally. There's no cladding that needs removing. Tell I've been reading a few odds and sods about this before. Well, I think it's about time we jumped in a train anyway, because I can waffle along all day. So I thought a good introductory run really would be in the 710, because it's a 50-minute all station stop, so it gives us a chance to kind of stop and look at some of the stations along the way. Now, if you've been reading the forums, of course there's been endless conversations about the timetable, in that there is not enough services. It's not a full complete timetable. It's not 15 minutes throughout for the whole day, but it's still pretty good. So I think we'll take just go for a random one. I think go for the, how shall we go, 0730. Oh, actually no, I want to do Euston to Watford Junction, so we'll go for 756. I think the thing is, all the talk about the timetable, and yes, it's a valid point, and yes, it'd be lovely to see the whole timetable put in at some point, and hopefully it will. But having said that, it's not the end of the world. And I mean, you think of what was released for Train Sim Classic, and you got, I don't think you got a single service on the DC line. So, of course, you need the Goblin line to make this work. Still a very nice train. One slight criticism, they're all 4-car services because that was what was included in the Goblin line, but in reality they are 5 cars. Now, to get the AWS going, we will have to do it with a panel. I tend to just use the control enter thing, but it doesn't seem to work on this for some reason, so oh, it does say. I'm confused now. Right, so we'll have to get that shut. Then we'll have to get the sat down, and then we can clear that.
TPWS at AWS
Remember to
operational.
put the headlights on. Yep, daylights. Panel's a bit annoying, but you'll remember that from the Goblin line if you own that. And there's another little slightly irritating point that says 25 kV, and of course it should be DC. We're on one of the lines where, yes, there's overhead lines in place, but we'll be operating it in DC mode. You can see the third rail there, but that's just a little bug at the moment. They obviously haven't put it in to say DC. Okay, we can shut the doors and we can make our way. Seem to recall a real London Overground driver when the Goblin line was first introduced, saying that basically you kind of go about 20 odd percent, 30% initially, and then once you've got past the first 4 or 5 mile an hour, then you can put in full power. So it might not be completely busy, but there's still a lot going on. You can see those tower blocks a bit better there. Very much dominate the skyline as you leave Euston. I think I'm right in saying there's nowhere else in the country where you've got this situation of having DC lines and overhead lines at the same time. Almost looks like, now you can see the third one lurking behind there, and also you can see on the right we've got the HS2 stuff going on, which is on our left now as we're driving it. Again, it's good to see that represented. Bringing up the famous Camden Bank. This used to be a huge issue in steam days because it's a very sharp incline for a railway. Of course, these modern electric locos, well, multiple unit in this case, but it's no problem. I quite like the fact that you can hear the AWS when you're outside the cab as well, because that means you don't get into too much trouble. And we also should spy something that again has not been seen before Oh, there's another overground. See, there are overground trains. We should get a glimpse of the Chalk Farm building there. It used to be a turntable building, the roundhouse, but nowadays it's a music venue, and it was built in the 1800s. Apparently it was only used as a turntable properly for about 10 years. But it's lovely that it's still in place, and it's great that it's represented in the game. Look how they've put the lights on the walls. I think when you go back to the slam door stock back in the 80s, they actually put bars across the window so that you couldn't lean out, and it was simply because of this South Hampstead tunnel, because you are really, really close to the tunnel wall, you know, even more so than is normally the case. And then the first stop, South Hampstead, is just beyond the station. I'll try and observe speed limits as best I can, but of course it's always a bit difficult when you're trying to point things out and look at different things. But I have to say, I'm blown away with the realism. I think it's absolutely amazing, and there's been a lot of chatter on the forums in advance of it coming out, and pages and pages, but I think it's brilliant, and you know, that's not with any leaning towards Dovetail Games. I've had to pay the £53.99 like anybody else, but it's well worth the effort. So no point in speeding it up until we complete the stop and we move on. I think one criticism about these stations on the DC line is there's no stop markers. Hopefully that's something that will be rectified. While I'm saying that, there's one there, but does that mean it's not on the other stations, on the ones that were on the Bakerloo line? We'll check on that. So whilst we're here, there's another landmark I want to show off, and this is this extraordinary building here. I mean, for many years I thought this was the side of a football stadium. Little knowing that in the 1970s this was constructed. It's flats, but basically it was done for acoustic purposes, soundproofing purposes. You can imagine it's not the best idea to have a block of flats right next to the train line. And they were built by a bloke called, what was his name? Was it Neve somebody or other, I think? These are the Alexandra Road Estate, sometimes called Rowley Way, or Rowley Way, I'm not sure which, because that's the road in between. Completed in 1978. It's Grade 2 listed. I mean, it's debatable whether you think that it's lovely or ugly, but that's kind of what it looks like on both sides. We can't go round to there and see it properly, but I think it's fantastic to have that modelled. We missed a 350 and a Pendolino coming in then. So Kilburn High Road is our next stop. I'm not 100% sure if every single, well, surely every single building can't be custom made, and that there must have been quite a few generic things that they put in, but it looks pretty damn good. coincidence. I picked this kind of as a sort of a rush hour type service, but there's a lot going on. People complaining about the fonts on these stations not being the authentic TfL fonts, but no, I've not quite got it right. The idea is that the S mark you should be able to see in that quarter light. So it'll be interesting to see if those S markers, I've got a feeling once we get to Queen's Park that we won't have them and beyond, because they weren't on the original Bakerloo line. They certainly weren't there when people were looking yesterday. They can't have got a patch in already, surely. Park is next, and that is a busy old station because of the Bakerloo line trains coming in from Elephant and Castle. I think some of the gantries that are being used, not completely authentic. I mean, it's very representative of West Coast Main Line gantries, but there's one or two that are missing, but it's pretty decent. Now we've got a freight train coming in, and we've got a Bakerloo line service leaving on our right. Yeah, I don't think there's any stop markers here. Never mind. You know, I think the problem is sometimes, I mean, people use some very emotive language and saying, you know, it's ridiculous, and you know, I appreciate there's a lot of money being spent, but there's a lot of work that goes into these routes. Now that must have been a Bakerloo line train terminating at Queen's Park, unless, of course, it might be a Harrow and Wealdstone one, but it might be that we've got the signal as priority. I couldn't quite make it out. I think it did say Harrow and Wealdstone. That must be it. I think we've got the priority. Yeah, he's got a red signal. That is on one of the through platforms. I don't know if that's a thing in real life. If anybody knows, then let me know. Oh, thanks, by the way. I'm not very good at this. You know, this is the first time I've done a stream, so I'm pleased to see we have got some people watching on. Really appreciated that. I can't kind of chat and reply at the same time, but I'll try and keep an eye on what's going on in the chat if anybody does raise any questions or mentions anything. But thanks very much for watching. So we've got a 30 reminder coming up, but it's basically for Wealdstone Junction, which is beyond. I don't think these stations have been touched other than what was on with the Bakerloo line routes from a few years back, but that's, oh dear. Okay, well, we'll pretend we didn't see that man just jump from the train, even though the doors were shut, then disappeared. Okay. I mean, I've said it before on the streams, but that's one thing I'd love DTG to kind of sort out. So hi to the people that are watching, and thank you again. And it might just be, if you're not watching it live and you're watching it played back, then hello to you as well. I've gone for slightly cloudier because sometimes I think if you go for really sunny, it just looks a bit too bright. Wow. See, I mentioned the 30 reduction, and what did I do? Completely forgot about it. There is a complete cab view on YouTube, which is well worth watching. I'm trying to think of the man's name who uploads them, and it's a great channel, but if you just search for Watford Junction to London Euston DC line, then they do this as a video. It's well worth watching, and you'll kind of see how realistic it is. Now, before in the yard there, we had a couple of carriages and a diesel train, so it's good to see we have another 710 there. So this is Willesden Junction. Change here for the North London line for Stratford, for Clapham Junction for Richmond. Still the best in the West End. London the Musical. That's really original, isn't it? Mind a holiday in Barbados, I have to say. And again, you just see the, if we can get up to it anyway, we can just see the, some detail up there. I mean, the bus doesn't need to be particularly high quality, but it's nice to see that obviously only a little bit of the North London line's been represented, but they've still got the canopies and all the infrastructure and the tracks going round and everything. I don't know whether you could probably ride the few yards from there. Anyway, we better get moving because our passengers are going to be complaining for late running. Yeah, well, you could buy it now, Darren, actually, but you, of course, you have to pay for the. It depends what you get it. If you get the standard edition, I think, then you won't get the early access. But it doesn't really matter, even if you wait until Tuesday. It's going to be exciting. I mean, that's what I kind of think. That's what's exciting, really. It's hearing from real people who ride on this. I mean, I've been on it a couple of times in real life, or a few times in real life, but if you're riding day in, day out, then you could really see how realistic or otherwise it is. we are at Halston. Would have been good if we got the announcements included as well, wouldn't it? Oh, we've got a stop car marker there. I honestly don't know whether some of them been added or what the situation is with that. There's another 350 racing by. So, I mean, I haven't got a definitive plan of what we do all the way through, but I think the next one we're going to do, we'll do the Pendolino, but we'll start one of those empty stop moves from the depot at Wembley, because that's something you never experience as a passenger. And then we'll take it up to Milton Keynes then, I think. Stonebridge Park is next. Of course, there's a depot for London Underground, or TfL, I suppose we should call them now, beyond that, which I think is one of the main depots of the Bakerloo line. And then we'll cross under the West Coast main line, and then we'll be on the left of the main line at Wembley Central. Speaking of Wembley, there's the stadium. Get a better view of it actually when we get a bit closer, I suppose. I think we're not far off when we get to the platforms, crossing over the North Circular as well. It's a busy old road in real life. Yeah, you can see plenty of traffic going on. And again, it looks pretty accurate. You've got the underpass and everything. I love the smoothness of it as well, and I mean, okay, it's stuttery at times, Train Sim World, but it does run pretty well on the PC. Sometimes the driving's a bit helter-skelter. I'm not talking about my driving either, I mean the cars, but the funny thing is, if you get the camera too close to a car, they just stop. I know there's that debate with the doors, something about the fact that they should close automatically, but then all you're doing is doing the interlock. I don't know if it's still 100% as it should be. I think this is it's a great byproduct really, and it's kind of more than one route. That's the thing. you know, you've not just got kind of a boring, well, it's not really boring, but you haven't just got that fast run from Euston to Milton Keynes. There's like so many variations, and the freight as well, the Bakerloo line. I mean, I've not installed the old Bakerloo line, but although it doesn't merge with the route to Elephant and Castle, you can do this route hopping thing. So the idea is you just press it at Queen's Park, then just pick it up on the old route and then continue the run down to Elephant and Castle. So here's Wembley Central. We've got to be a bit careful here actually. I know one or two of the real train drivers that have appeared on the streams, they've said you're looking out more for the, oh, there's another Pendolino. You're looking out more for the signal rather than the fact that you're coming to the stop at the station. There's another one. I didn't forget to have a proper look at Wembley Stadium. See if we can spy another view of it as we come out here. Then again, pick a view where you've got loads of buildings in the way. That makes me chance answer there. Never mind. It's there. Promise you that. Didn't spot whether there's some big old kind of Art Deco style factory building as you come out of Wembley Central. I don't know whether that's been included, but I suppose the problem is it's difficult to include everything. It's a lovely train to drive, so smooth. Plenty getting on. I don't think I've seen that amount of volume before. I'm also not totally sure. I mean, the Pendolino has the suspension on. Did it have that on the preview streams? I can't remember. There should be a end-to-end route where you could actually forget about them speed markers, because you've got a good view of the speedometer and it shouldn't take a massive amount of learning really. It's just a few times where it drops down. So I'd love to be able to do the whole thing hoodless really at some point. thing. I mean, the Bakerloo line being part of this, I mean, it's just fantastic, really, because you could do Harrow and Wealdstone through to Elephant Castle before, but it was pretty soulless, this section, because you got no overground services, and you got nothing on the main line either. Actually, we can have a quick look to see, have we got a lot of people on board? Yeah, pretty full. I wished they would actually get on and then actually walk to the seats, because what they do is they walk on, disappear, and then actually make the way into the seats. Trying to do it so it didn't bang my nose then. Right. So the door's locked then, but as you see we hadn't got the interlock on, so I think I can spy a Bakerloo line train coming down. There's a 350. I mean, of course, the 350 hasn't got the LNWR branding on. We'll take a check on it when we're driving it a bit later, but does it really matter? It's got the right livery. Somebody will do a patch for it dead soon anyway. It'd be nice if DTG could solve the issue that they had with thinking they got the agreement and then hadn't, but so Kenton is next. I'm not going to make any smart remarks about how good the braking is on this thing, because I'll then shoot past one of the stations. Oh, we've got it right there. That's the point, you see. You're supposed to see that S in your little quarter light there. I mean, we aren't going to, but of course when you get to Watford Junction you could get in the cab at the other end and drive it back, but that's where sometimes some of the gaps in the timetable will make a difference, because you'll kind of be able to do it with some and not others. You don't want to find you've got an hour and a half to wait. Sure, unless they've fixed it, I'm sure there's one or two instances where the connecting wires going round corners wasn't right on some of that catenary. So Harrow and Wealdstone is next, which of course is where the Bakerloo line trains terminate. Used to be a time when they went through to Watford Junction. Maybe that'll happen again someday, it's always been rumoured. Well, I'm sure there's some locations where some of the buildings and structures will be a little bit generic, but even for 50 miles you can't do everything. I think the Tring services for LNWR, we'll do one of those later on. I think they stop at Harrow and Euston. Yeah, there's a lot going off here, but you kind of expect that, wouldn't you? Harrow, I think. I know. Oh yeah, no, we're okay. Yeah, that's where the S marker is. I'd be interested to know if that's something they fixed. Because I heard a lot of people talking about it not being, stop markers not being on. Original name there, Barber's Barber Shop. They must like the fish and chips and having their hair cut in Harrow. Of course, next we're on new territory because we could only go as far as this turn back siding up here on the Bakerloo line add-on. Enjoying the route, and it's only my thought, but I mean I'm delighted with it. I've been boring everybody in my household for weeks talking about it and the build up to it. Been a bit like a 50-odd-year-old school child, but this is kind of my hometown route, really. It's the, it's kind of the, if I'm travelling to London, it's generally into London Euston, so I've always wanted the West Coast Main. I mean, it's the busiest line in the country anyway, so it's great to have it. Obviously depends on various factors, but this is kind of got a real rush hour feel about it with the services going up and down. Here we are, Headstone Lane. Maybe they're just missing on one or two stations the stop car markers on the were on the Bakerloo line. If so, it's no big deal. It'd be nice if they could sort the. Oh, there's a lot of people going off here. It'd be nice if we could have a 5-car train. That's partly why it's so busy. I mean, I'm guessing they just simply haven't made a 5-car version for it. Me, by the way. I'm not one of the cables slightly. It wasn't the the game freezing. So Hatch End is next. Amazing names, isn't there, in London? Places. Doesn't sound like the most enticing of places. I don't know, it might be lovely. If you're from Hatch End, let me know. Quite honestly, if you'd read the forums over the last few weeks, you'd have given up buying it. You'd have said it's a complete waste of time, it's been completely botched. But the reality is somewhat different. I'm prepared to concede that that might be the wrong font, but I don't know. It doesn't bother me anyway. So Carpenter's Park next, and then we've got Carpenter's Park, then Bushy, and then it's Watford High Street, then Watford Junction. So we're not too far off the end of our first run. Look out as well for mods on the TrainSim community website. That'll only apply to people who are running it on PC, but they will add something to it. I mean, essentially it's a 45-mile-an-hour run. When TrainSim World 3 came out a year ago, I mean, it was great having the East Coast Main Line, it was great having the Azuma, but to pick Peterborough to Doncaster, it just didn't feel particularly exciting. I mean, it's a fairly decent run, but you do need the terminus end, and I'd love them to extend this perhaps now and maybe do through to Rugby in Birmingham or Stafford and Crewe, and I don't know. I don't think they have a great track record of, pardon the pun, of extending these routes, but we'll see. Having a wander as well, and even stuff like that, you've got, it's like a variation with the way it's a bit scarred there and stuff, and we can't go through, at least I don't think we can. Or is it because of the people? No, I don't think we can. I assume there's another way. Oh no, we've got, of course we've got an island platform, haven't we? Yes, don't forget to shut the doors, Kevin. Different gantries there. I always call those the Manchester gantries because you see those a lot. They are like that in real life on this section, I do know that, but you see them a lot around Manchester. Yeah, I think the AWS was reminding us that we've got that 35-mile-an-hour speed limit restriction just before Bushy. I think it looks fabulous though, the livery on this thing. I know some of the LNWR services do actually stop here as well. And we are verging away from the West Coast Main Line at this point, briefly. Stop marker all the way up the end of the platform. I was wondering with the preview stream, there seemed to be a lot of trees around this area. It was like, how well modelled have they done the industrial park? You won't get any branding, of course. It's a bit generic, I think, but yeah, you've got the river down there. Many years ago, there was a train that ended up down their embankment. Back in the 70s, I think it was. Like the bypass road, haven't you? Kind of going through it. We've just passed there. I wanted to see whether they got the petrol station in for the Tesco. We might get a better view of it on the West Coast Main Line. Well, what was I said? Talk about petrol stations. We are running a bit late, but I suppose we've taken a bit more time looking at some of the landmarks and stuff. Hope the passengers will forgive us on this occasion. So Watford High Street. clever thing is, and we'll have a look in a sec, but that boarding there, yeah, it's got the fact that we are running late. Probably breaking all the rules in the book by not putting us into neutral. There you are, you see. It's expected at 08:39. Don't know why it says 00:41 though, that should be 08:41. Oh, it's got the, yeah, calling at Watford Junction. I'm sorry mate, I think I was blocking your way there. Good to see somebody with glasses, mate. Many of us wear them. Yes, indeed. I think it's fantastic. I really do. Train Sim World, and I mean, you could talk about the timetable not being every service being on there, but there is such a range of. I mean, you look at Train Sim Classic, and you have to download scenarios. You can spend half a day trying to get the reskins to work, and then they don't work, and it's all just a palaver. But this is just incredible, really, and it looks absolutely amazing. Yeah, we are coming towards the platforms now, so I think this is, I'm guessing we're not going to be held up, but I'm guessing this is the, yeah, if we've got a marker above it, we're signalled into platform 3. You can see the West Coast Main Line rejoining us as we approach Watford Junction. Far too fast, of course. We should have slowed down to 15. We've got a freight liner coming through now as well. DB Deutsche Bahn livery. There we are, we've made our first destination. We've arrived at Watford Junction. So what we should be doing here is, I did open the doors, didn't I? What we should be doing here is setting the headlights onto tail. And then the headlight off, and also can't remember what neutral is on this thing. Secure me, what does secure mean? Ah, shut down, that's right. So if we go master key off, then we've kind of, now the problem is, having done all that, can we shut the damn doors? A schoolboy error that, I think. Hang on a minute. Okay. There we are.
TPWS and AWS operational.
Right, so what we should have done really is made sure we locked the doors first and then done it in that order. So now we can do our shutdown. Let's just have a little look around. We haven't really looked at Watford Junction. Far away from a train coming through. So the next service 9:33. That's quite a while actually to Milton Keynes. Then there's a Pendolino to Birmingham New Street. I'll be interested. Have they corrected that fault? We'll find out when we do a Pendolino for a London Euston. Now, I don't see any displays down here. I was going to say, when's the next? Well, it's right, okay. Well, it's scheduled to go at 8:56, so actually that's kind of about right. Okay, well that's the London Overground part of it anyway. Hope you enjoyed that. I think it's time for the Pendolino. I'll change it again to custom weather because if I don't, it'll be raining within 10 minutes. Yeah, this is the one I did have a go at earlier on. This is lovely, actually, if we can get the sky looking right with the clouds. So we're going to start from Wembley Intercity Depot. At some point I'll have to try and actually reload the game up as well, because I think if we keep doing service after service then we'll have an issue with the game potentially dumping on us eventually. It'll run out of memory. Wow, look at that. I mean, okay, the frame rates isn't great, but isn't that a sight? That's incredible. Okay, well, let's get the Pendolino set up then. You've got all sorts of alarm systems going up on this thing. Basically keep pressing the Q button until it's happy. So make sure we get the, well, day running should be alright, shouldn't it? And listen to the sound as that's great. I think there should be an extra whir though, that's the thing that's missing, but anyway, that bit's good. Now the sounds they're okay, not fantastic. Doesn't sound exactly like a Pendolino, but in the absence of having any proper running sounds, and they weren't able to get the recordings, it's good having the suspension there. Look at that bouncing about. We didn't get any bouncing in the Venture because, I mean, it only came out in the spring, but it hasn't been introduced on the older stock yet. Probably shouldn't be hooting the horn this time of the morning. It's the carriage washing. I'm guessing if we really were getting the carriage wash, we'd have gone through a bit slower. Yeah, I've got the AWS on, but not the DVD. And that's just, again, just one of those things where I keep thinking I'm going to miss it if we have both on. There we are, that's Wembley Stadium. That's the North Circular. Isn't that fabulous? That's a famous building at Stonebridge Park as well. I'm pretty sure that used to be part of LWT, London Weekend Television, many years ago. So we've kind of got 50 mile an hour, a little bit of a crawl for the moment. Then we will get up to 75. We are on these relief lines around the depot. You'll hear the sounds a bit better as we speed up, but they're alright. They're not too bad. Love the detail. Well, I mean, one thing there is an issue with is that the first class is in the wrong place. It's the wrong way round. It should be at the London Euston terminus end, whereas they've got it in the front, which you should see in a second. But again, it's a minor thing, they'll sort that out. But it's good to have the kitchen model because, again, you know, as a passenger, fare paying passenger, you're never going to see the kitchen. Don't know whether it's real or not, but it looks the part. I think before we abandon this service, when we get to Euston, we'll have a walk through the train as well, just so you can see the interiors. I'm not going to be doing these empty carriage stop workings that often, but it's just good fun that you can do them. Lighting looks lovely, this kind of sunrise. We've got a weird situation here where we go to 20 as we are at the minute, and then we drop down to 15. What's the point? 100% sure what that AWS reminder was for, because we're actually speeding up. But you had got that junction going off the other way. Perhaps it was something to do with that. I don't know. There's the old crane for the lifting the Freightliner containers over there as well. I know we can get some power up at last. And I'll be honest, when I first heard it on the stream, I thought it sounds nothing like a Pendolino, but I kind of think it sounds a bit like a Pendolino. So, 710 of Entras and the sidings there. Also, when we get the West Coast main line over Shap, I can guarantee that somebody will create a timetable with the Pendolino and the modern day version of it. I mean, it's going to be great driving the 87, but it'll be good to do that as well. And then I think the room seemed to suggest the Alan Thompson simulation route's going to be Crewe to Manchester Piccadilly via the Style line. Of course, that's not been confirmed yet, but again, I can see the potential with Train Sim Classic of doing a full Euston to Manchester Piccadilly. There aren't many that operate by the Style line. In fact, there's only one scheduled service in real life, but I can see that being a Christmas run. Of course, there's diverts as well. Mail depot on the right. Of course, there's a bigger one at Wilston. Then we had a overground service heading north. At least they've catered for the early morning rush hour anyway. Park, you can see, oh no, that was South Hampstead, wasn't it? You can see that 40 is going to be on us pretty soon for the descent down Camden Bank. Yeah, I'm very impressed as well, I have to say. I mean, maybe I'm too easily impressed, I don't know, but I think it's incredible, actually. I mean, when I was doing the screenshot for the preview last night, I was a bit concerned people might think, yeah, well, that looks good, but it's a photo. Sorry I can't type out the replies on the chat, but I'd be all over the place. I'm bad enough driving this train as it is. Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's incredibly accurate. And they've got the nice whine down as you kind of decelerate and accelerate as well a little bit as well, but yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be nice if we got, I mean, even if the kind of somebody did a, I don't know if it's possible, but kind of did a version of the Mark III carriages to make it the Caledonian Sleeper, and then I don't know, even if we stuck a diesel on the front, it'd be a possibility. It's a few years now since I've ridden on the Caledonian Sleeper, but that's an amazing experience. Now, I think most of the time you're going to get clearance into the platform from this signal, but again, you've just got to keep your wits about you because you never quite know. Yeah, we're signalled into platform 3. You can see the BT tower in the background. Good track rumble over the points as well. Yeah, I think the problem is it's where do you stop, and I think Milton Keynes Central is always a likely endpoint for this route because of the amount of work, and you know there's 28 stations, it's 50 miles. You can actually do a full run through to Edinburgh Waverley or Glasgow Central with Train Sim Classic. I think with Train Sim World we're just going to have to wait a bit. But I mean, this route in itself could produce hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of endless entertainment. If you like your trains, then I love how they've done Euston as well. It's not the nicest station in the world, not by any stretch of the imagination, but that is realistic, isn't it? And we've got other decent stuff coming up as well for the game. So even the stuff we know about that's coming out, pretty good. Yeah, agree with you on the graphics. I mean, it's still got its place. I don't think it'll be phased out completely, but I think there is a place still for Train Sim Classic. But yeah, this is obviously miles better. Now, how do you change the lights on this thing? I forgot. So this is supposed to be the 0626. I'm trying to remember, where's the... Oh yeah, here we are, lights. So we've got tail on. So it doesn't matter so much about that issue we had because we're not going to open the doors. We've basically completed our run. Actually, how would you get it to? Perhaps you've still got to open your doors. No, we wouldn't be letting passengers on and realise. I know what I said I was going to do. So this is standard class. Obviously, it's a refurbished example. We wouldn't want one of those seats, would we? Because what do we need? That's it. Nice to have the boards on there. I've done the 710 already. So once the stream's finished, you can actually play it back and you can have a look back at that. That was the first one I did. So the plan next is to take this thing up to Milton Keynes Central. Now, it would be nice to have seen a bit of effort put in there. We could have put some sandwiches in, surely, couldn't we? I mean, in reality, you wouldn't be able to board this service yet, would you? So, as you know, with London Euston generally, they do a bit of cleaning and they won't let you board it until about 10 minutes before. Well, we do, but it's okay. We can. We're not. Trust me, we're not going to wait till 06:26. We're going to go back to the menu. Oh, that's a nice little point, isn't it? Standard premium. They've actually bothered to put that on the seat. There's no seat numbers. That's a bit of a letdown. Needless to say, we can't go into the toilets, but we're not going to worry too much about that. First class. And then, ta-da, there's the kitchen area. And as I say, by rights, we've got the train the wrong way round, but I'm sure they'll sort that.
Please remain behind the yellow line.
Right, okay, so
trains pass through this station.
let's go back to the menu. Now, what I'm going to do at this point, remember it was the 06:26, I'm just going to exit the game and load it up again, because I don't want the issue of it kind of getting to the point where we can't, where it'll dump itself. Right, so Trade Sim World 5. Oh yes, I will be doing the 377, by the way. I didn't notice that comment. Yeah, I'll be doing the 377. I'm going to try to do all of the stop that's included. So perhaps once we've got to Milton Keynes, I might do the 377 because it's only a brief little run then. Right now, somehow I've got to get the game back in. That's it. So we'll try and do this in some sort of logical order. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and I know £53 or whatever it is for whatever version you get, it's a lot of money, and obviously you have to buy the West Coast Main Line and you have to get the 390, but it's worth it, isn't it? Right, so the 06:26 London Euston to Manchester Piccadilly. So let's kind of do the same. Oh, wait a minute. Just thought. Yeah, no, I've put custom weather. We're all right. caught up with exactly who's watching, but again, thanks for anybody that is. So I can't remember if you can see the chat or not if you're playing it back on another day, and apologies if none of my answers make any sense, but I'm trying to reply as much as I can to the comments. Yeah, I think what we'll do the 390 up to Milton Keynes, then we'll do the 377, then we'll jump in the 350, the Bakerloo, and perhaps last of all, I think last of all we'll do the Class 66. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to do a full run on the 66, but we'll see. Right. Okay, so let's get this thing set. I love how it's all scoured there, as you'd kind of expect. TAS, forget what it stands for, but that controls our speed, so if we go too far above the speed limit, it'll quickly bring us back down. Okay, so what do we want to do? No, we don't want to do that. We want to open the doors. Now, let's just have a look outside. That was something I'd like to check. I love how it just pauses as well. It sort of doesn't just open instantly. It's kind of like deliberate. Nah, I think I mean that says Milton Keynes, and I think basically it's the ones that have got the proper destination on, like we saw earlier. Those are the ones that aren't stopping at Milton Keynes Central. Yeah, thanks, the football gamer, Adam Clough. I can see it's a bit of a stretch for my eyes sometimes watching across both. All new to me, this. I mean, I've chose Friday the 13th to do my first live stream. I've got plenty of videos of other stuff that I've been uploading since last December. Oh, we got another 7:10 departing. Day running. Now then, let's just show off as well this business about shutting the doors, because you can see there we've got the steps. There are some services that stop at Watford Junction. Now, I was a bad driver there, really, because I didn't double check, but we do have a green signal, we're okay. And this time, as opposed to what happened with the 7:10 run, we're going to go under Camden Bank and then emerge back out. So you can imagine if they didn't have this little underpass, it would make the movement of trains virtually impossible because it's so busy. telling me off again for not having the DVD, but I'm just frightened of missing that. I mean, I don't know whether anybody can see there's things I'm missing that should be there, that are obvious that should be there, but in the main it's pretty damn good, and there will be a patch as well. I mean, things that aren't quite right will be corrected. And the tilt's nice to have as well. Just to be a little slow this bit. Camden Bank's quite severe anyway, but there we have a 350, a service into London Euston. And this is something I didn't mention on the first time out of Euston. That's like an old engine shed. Clearly not used by the railway now, but it's still very noticeably part of the railway infrastructure from years gone by. And we've got the carriage sidings there that LNWR use. This time we're on the down fast. I'm going to kind of keep regulating and controlling the speed for the time being, but once we get up to 125, I'll never remember which buttons to press the horn, wouldn't it? Then we'll use the speed set. It said that the drivers, I don't know if they still do, used to call it the bacon sandwich mode, because effectively they could just sit back and just relax and eat, and obviously keeping an eye on everything else that's going on, but they didn't have to worry about accelerating, decelerating, as long as the speed limit's not going to be changing. Indeed we are. So this will be the first look, it might be the only look actually at Milton Keynes Central that we have in tonight's stream. Because I think when I do the 350 I'm going to do a service from Tring down to Euston. Yeah, good question. You see, I'm ignoring my viewers, aren't I? Yeah, how is everyone today? I mean, I'm thoroughly enjoying having this run. I mean, it's a Friday anyway, so what's not to like? Hope everybody else who's watching is enjoying this as well. So 42 miles, and it'll race by as well at this speed. Actually tonight, I mean, I do have a power brake controller, which is a good fun to use, but I haven't checked to see whether it works with Trainsim World 5 yet. I mean, I will be downloading the other routes, don't get me wrong, but Frankfurt looks lovely and interesting, but whether I'll end up ever driving it, I don't know. My interest is purely really in the UK. Now we can get some speed up as we go past Wembley. Try and... Okay, we saw it when we were bringing this in, didn't we? But that's the big Royal Mail depot. When we had the Trainsim Classic, the wires used to disappear at this section. I do still like Trainsim Classic. I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with it. I mean, the times I've spent trying to get stuff to work on it. But, you know, here you just pick your train at random. Guard mode as well. I don't know whether we've got it for the Pendolino services, but we've got guard mode. I'm not massively interested in that myself. I don't know about anybody else. It's driving the thing that I'm fascinated with. Right, so we get 125. So what we've got to do is when we get to 125, then we'll put that speed set on. So you kind of just got to time it right, because I think in reality you'd be able to do it with your left hand. Right, speed setter's on, so we should now, in theory, not have to worry too much about things. Tilt on fully. There's Harrow and Euston. You get there a bit quicker than when you do the DC line service. Never did press anything on the GSMR, but at least we it does actually give us the market 1 hotel 61 the service. But I know DTG have already said that they will be correcting this business about it, saying Milton Keynes as the destination. That will be done in the, well, hopefully it'll be the next patch. Loving the bounciness though about the cab. It's, you know, trains aren't still on the tracks. I mean, you can argue probably till the cows come home whether it's accurate or not, but I like it. When I watched the stream, I kind of thought, the previous stream, I thought, is there too many trees north of Watford Junction on that section? And it's, you know, it's quite open countryside really through Hertfordshire. irritants about the glitches always about the. Oh, now we're going to get told off by the task. We're not quick here. Oh, we're lucky. Brakes on this thing are quite strong. I spotted that very late, that 110. Got away with that one. Here's Bushy again. Right, try and remember spacebar and N. Again, it's slightly different with trains and classes. So here's the industrial park. Should be a little petrol station on the corner. Sure, by that roundabout. Or is it a bit beyond here? Yeah, I think the petrol station's missing, but hey ho. It's representative of it anyway. They obviously can't put in the branding of the places as well. You'd have to get a licence with Tesco and all the rest of it. Absolutely zooming through Watford Junction. As we're hurtling towards the tunnels, we're split off currently. The slow line tunnels went off to the right. They'll rejoin us again shortly afterwards. And then once we're through the tunnels, we're back up to 125 again. Apologise for the cursor, it always irritates me when I watch a stream and you can see the cursor right in the middle of the stream, and then I forget when I'm doing it myself. So yeah, back of the trains past them. Oh, we've got a Class 66. Go into the M25 surely. We'll certainly race by past this 66. Yeah, I just don't know whether there's this many trees in real life. Oh, here's the M25. Quite get up quick enough to see whether there's any cars on it. That should regulate us at 125. Oh, I've just seen a comment from the train hunter a bit higher up saying, can I choose the next train? And also somebody commented about that's probably why Trains of World takes its time releasing these routes. The graphics and realism effort needed must take months, and I think this was commented on by Matt Pendleton. I think they started building this the back end of last year, and you know, there's a team of, I don't know how many people there is, if it's 40 or 50 people, whatever it is, but it takes an awful lot of effort. I mean, I've had a little dabble with route building on Train Sim Classic, and you can literally spend 2 or 3 hours laying a few houses. Let's see why we got the AWS then. We got a green anyway, so we're all right. We're going to race by this class 350. I think somebody mentioned as well, I think it was DBS again, about they could also do the current Great Western Railway to London Euston if they were able to merge. I'm not sure how you merge that actually, but there are obviously loads of possibilities with merges, but I think at the moment we got this route hopping thing as a bit of a compromise, which is pretty decent. Great if you could, I mean you need a supercomputer to do it. It'd be great if you could literally get to Euston, walk down the escalator down to the Bakerloo line, take that to Paddington, then go up the escalator, but you know, I don't really see that ever happening anytime soon. Right, we've definitely got the tilt on there, haven't we? I think that's a southbound freight liner there, and I think that was being held by a signal by the looks of it. For all the people that have been watching. I think we broke 400 already, which I'm pretty pleased with. Yeah, I mean, echoing the comments somebody made earlier on, it'd be lovely to see some stop for the Caledonian Sleeper. It'd be quite nice to get the Holyhead 805s in as well. I mean, you think, and the 807s for the Birmingham, Wolverhampton services that are, I don't know whether they've actually been introduced yet, but I think the only issue is, I think the Holyhead trains, the Chester trains, wouldn't stop at Milton Keynes Central. Now we've just got to be a bit careful here because we're getting a double yellow, so we are being held up by a service in front of us. A bit slow reacting to the first one. I mean, we're lucky because we've got 2 consecutive double yellows, but if that had been a yellow, we might have been in trouble a little bit. Desperately not trying to spad. Sometimes it's no bad thing to have a few adverse signals, because if you're racing along at a fast speed, it's good to give yourself a little bit of extra work to do. Now I think a tip that I've heard from real drivers, it's kind of like, look, you've had a sequence of adverse signals, no point in suddenly putting full power on, because the chances are you'll catch it up again with the next signal. So kind of increase the speed slightly, and if the next one's green, then I'll probably whack it up to 4 again. probably haven't mentioned all the people commenting, but DBS has put in a load of comments. The Train Hunter, the football gamer, Adam Clough. I've not reinstalled it yet, by the way. The Cathcart Circle will also include the Pendolino at Glasgow Central as well, so not to drive particularly, but unless you did it on a free roam round the Cathcart Circle, but it could be a divert, I suppose. But it'll make Glasgow Central look better. Right, we're getting a sequence of greens now, aren't we? So we're all right. It might be that there was something on the fast lines that have been transferred across to the down slow, maybe. Some of this scenery looks a bit on the rush side, I would say. But I prefer them to get the London end right, and then this bit can be worked on a bit later. Shall we do the 377 next? It's only a short run from Watford Junction to Wembley. In reality, it would be a East Croydon service. I'm sure if there's a shortcut to the speed control. I was expecting to be really disappointed by the sounds, but they're alright for now. I mean, there will be a sound mod available, no doubt, fairly soon. There's a chap called, I think his name's Itcher, on the Train Sim community website, who's prolific at producing really good sound mods, and no doubt that's something he'll do. I mean, unfortunately, the Bakerloo line, he's done a great sound mod for the Bakerloo line 72 stop, but it needs converting into Train Sim World. I'm sure it'll happen at some point, but for the moment we'll have to go with the original sounds, which aren't brilliant. So excited these last few weeks about this route coming out. I think it's lived up to expectation. Wow, we've got some tilt going there. I've done the 710 though, the Train Hunter. Like I say, once the stream's finished and you can watch it back tomorrow, then you'll be able to see Euston to Watford Junction. But I'm kind of thinking I want to try and give every loco and unit that's on there a little run, so I think I'll leave the 710 off for doing again for the time being. mean, we're soon going to be at Milton Keynes Central as well, aren't we? Just less than 7 miles away. Try out the lifts at Milton Keynes Central, by the way. Why walk up to the concourse when you can take the lift? I mean, this is a great example here of why tilting trains on the West Coast Main Line were so needed, because it's such a bendy old route. The East Coast Main Line straighter. That's kind of why when they built the 91s they decided to not have the tilt enabled, partly because they were struggling with it. Now, I've got a suspicion, can't really see in the sunlight, but I've got a feeling that when you go around the corners, unless they fixed it, I think some of there's a wire missing, I think. But it's not that noticeable really, but it's things like that though that do need fixing. I'll remember to press the right 2 buttons for the horn. That was Bletchley, and we've got Bletchley sidings there with 350s, and we saw another 66 as well. I think some people are crying out to see another freight loco rather than just the Class 66 all the time, but we'll have to keep an eye out. 2.2 miles away. You don't want to be slowing down too slowly. There are 6 steps, I think, on this brake. I don't know whether we're getting a cautionary signal outside of the platform. Might be, actually. Can't see it for the sun. I think it's single yellow. I think we actually, well, we're 0.6 of a mile. You can see the signal on the track monitor thing up there, so are we going to get howled? Thing about Train Sim Classic, you often used to have busy roads and you'd see no traffic. That's not a contradiction in terms. We're okay. We're actually signalled into the platform. We've got a southbound service awaiting us. I mean, we are on time as well. If anything, we're a bit on the early side. So this is Milton Keynes. That's my duty done on this service. Incidentally, we never tried it, but those windows do indeed open on both sides. Oh, that looks pretty good, doesn't it?
All our trains and stations are no smoking areas. Please do not smoke until you have left the station premises. This includes e-cigarettes.
Now, I think because that's the cab door, or door that only the staff can get, we can shut the doors, but so that service has continued. We got a gold medal as well. Must have driven it reasonably well. Now, I can't remember what the mode is for this route hopping thing. There's a button that you can press, but I don't know. We shut the doors anyway, didn't we? Oh, there we go. Anyway, it's got the idea. I meant to kind of show you from the front. I'm sure I managed to get over through that fence there, but anyway. It's good though, you know, although we can only take it to Milton Keynes, the AI driver goes take it off to the next part of the journey. I think this was a station that was opened in 1982, Milton Keynes Central. It used to be Bletchley that was kind of one of the main stops. Those little like rails there around the edge, whatever you call them. We got some trolleys, grit for the salt. Oh, we got a cafe. I'm guessing there'll be lifts in here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. I'll tell you what, seems pointless taking the lift down to the same platform, so let's take this lift. Does it not work? Perhaps it doesn't work on every station.
All our trains and stations are no smoking areas. Please
Oh well.
do not smoke until you have left the station premises.
Never mind.
Includes
We'll find one where it does work. I'm sure they definitely do. Oh, we've got a 350 coming in. I mean, anybody that tries to tell you that this is not a busy route, I think this demonstrates that it really is. Okay, so what we're going to do next, what did we say? We're going to do the 377. Only short, I think it's only about 15 minutes this bit. This is the 3772. Perhaps go for something a bit different in time. We'll say, I don't know, go for an evening one this time. The 18, it won't be dark anyway, will it, at this point? September 1846, Watford Junction to East Croydon. Oh, right. Hope it's streaming all right for you, by the way. It's telling me that it's lower than the recommended bit rate. We recommend that you use a stream bit rate of 6,800K. It's all new to me, this. Stream key, I don't know how you change that. Well, oh, way up, we're going to have a dark run. I didn't think it would be dark. Never mind, we'll try that's something different. I think you'll find it'll be a bit too dark, but the station's lit up quite nicely. And we're on platform 10 at Watford Junction as well. So let's get this train set up then. Definitely need night lights this time. So it's only a shortish run to Wembley Central. We'll have the stop at Harrow and Euston in between. I mean, in theory, you can again carry it on with Train Sim Classic and take it down to Clapham Junction, and then rejoin Train Sim World to take it on to East Croydon and do pretty much the full run. But of course, it's really the first time that we've been able to ride the 377 in pantograph mode. I didn't think they'd include this, I have to say. I was surprised when they said this was included. That seemed like an optional extra. Right, so we can lock the doors here. Did I put my AWS on? I can't remember. It's on now anyway. funny to go from driving the Pendolino to the 377. It feels totally different. And I think these are the sounds from Armstrong Powerhouse. Thanks to everybody that's watched tonight, by the way. Hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Yeah, I think the night. I'm not a great fan of driving nighttime trains because you get to the point where there's not a lot going on really. But I think because it's nearly dark, not quite dark, then we'll perhaps just about get away with it, particularly as it's only a short run. Only 4.6 miles away from Harrow and Euston. Yeah, it's good to see some lights on and too fast here, aren't I? Way too fast. I like the running sounds on this. Well, Sorry, I was losing a bit of concentration there. I was just trying to look at different things at once. I think the one thing about train driving is you have to look at what you're doing. It's good to turn all the some of the markers off as well. I mean, you could have had the speedometer occupying a big part of the right-hand screen, but you can have it with that thing at the top, and it just makes the whole thing look a lot neater. Yeah, it's good to see a bit of light in there. You know, you can see the effect, can't you? It's not completely pitch black. There's some busy trains, I tell you what. I mean, I have to say, when London Brighton was brought out, and I think it's 2 or 3 years back now, but I was just blown away by the amount of services and how busy it was. And straight away I thought, well, you know, if they can do that for the southern services out of Victoria and how busy it is at Clapham Junction and Brighton and so on, then what a brilliant route it'd be if they could do the West Coast Main Line. And I think they've kind of dithered on it. I think it kind of broke the consoles, particularly the older gen consoles at first, and they've had some issues with that. I know it's still a very, very popular game, and I think it's trying to balance the different consoles and the performance and how it works and everything, so it's not an easy task. It's trying to keep everybody happy. So it's only a short run, this, to Wembley Central. Would be good if we could just carry on, wouldn't it? And, carry on to Watford Junction to Clapham Junction. But this was a train I didn't think would be included. Very surprised when they announced this was included, because it was kind of like, I thought, well, the excuse would be there's hardly any services, it's only a short run from Watford Junction to Wembley, we've not bothered to put it in. So fantastic that they have. And I think a bit of work on the timetable, and this is already a brilliant route. Again, I assume the red is because it's the end of the run. Again, that's not necessarily prototypical, because it's a train that in reality is carrying on from Wembley, so you wouldn't really expect to get an adverse signal unless there was a train that we've got to cross over. I mean, it's possible we might have beyond Wembley. So this was the 377. Bright here. Yeah, again you see it shouldn't say Wembley Central's the destination. But they're going to fix that. Ooh, gold medal again. Wow. Right, okay, so what we're going to do now is have a look at the 350. Bit of cloud. Again, morning rush hour maybe. What would be a busy service? 7:38. Yeah, 7:38. Let's go for that one, shall we? Yep. Okay, let's have a look at the 350 then. And this is Tring. And we've got another one alongside us as well. That's interesting. So let's get the 350 set up. Trying to remember where all the... Ah, it's there, isn't it? Does it work on this? Yeah, there's a few bits on the GSMR. Daylight for the headlights. I mean, one minor criticism, and you'll realise this when we close the doors in a minute, but oh, and here a car started up in the car park. Yeah, it's good that they've got a few more different ambient sounds, because you kind of got fed up with the same old sounds. But one noise they haven't got, you'll hear the door alarm going when we go for close the doors, but they haven't got the definitive click. So I should actually check whilst we're here. Is it a 4-car? I think it is, yeah. Don't know if there are any 8-car services. Right, we can close the doors then, so you'll see what I mean in a sec. Yeah, there should have been a click, definitive clunk like there was on the Pendolino, but not to worry. We'll pretend we got a buzz back from the guard. As I say, there is a guard mode. I quite like the sounds on this. seem to be genuine. I think they're actually recorded by Daisy, who was on the stream. She's a conductor for London North Western. But obviously this is, if you don't buy the Pendolino pack, then this is kind of the main new train you're going to get. I mean, if you could afford to do it, it's worth having the Pendolino. It's worth having the lot, really, because I mean, having the 710 in there as well just makes the bit around London Euston so much more exciting. But again, it's easier for me because I'd already purchased the Goblin line back in Easter time when that came out. Berkhamsted is next. Be interested to know if they've modelled the castle ruins. I mean, there's not much to them really. Well, I don't think so anyway, having looked at a few pictures of them earlier. Apologies for anybody involved with it, because there's probably a lot of work that goes into keeping that running and everything. Getting very smooth to drive. Comments seem to have dried up in the chat, unless I'm just not refreshing it very well. But if anybody has anything to say, then, you know, shout out. Coming here way too fast. Are we going to make it? We might be alright. You know, the brakes on this thing are pretty good. I'm not sure I'd recommend that that's what you do as a driver. So this is Berkhamsted, and it's very much on a sharp bend, and they've got really old style canopies. I think the castle ruins are over there somewhere in reality. I don't know whether we can see. Now, I wouldn't really expect them to be included, to be fair. And again, some of the scenery does look a bit bare bones, actually. You have got the well, you've got the Grand Union Canal. I get mixed up which is which. We've got the Grand Union Canal, and we've got the river. An interesting place. Now remember this wall round the bend on Train Sim Classic, when it was brought out this route, he actually clipped into the train. I'm trying to not give it full hammer from the accelerator from the very off. Well, I just thought with it only been introduced yesterday, and of course it's only still on early access, and again, just to stress, that's not some sort of special bonus for people. It's if you get the deluxe edition or the special edition, I think it's called, then anybody can have this few days of early access. It's better than it was last year, because they did early access last year, but they didn't make all the legacy stuff available. Well, got 500 views tonight, and again, anybody that's watched, thank you very much. It's really, really appreciated. To kind of be mindful with the brakes that, I mean, the brakes are pretty good, but you're running pretty fast, and I'm not all that knowledgeable on exactly, okay, it tells you the distance of the platform, but I don't know the route that well, well, not well enough for this sort of stuff. So again, coming in a bit fast, a bit hot, you might say. 30 mile an hour, I think, is the ideal speed. So probably a few people, if they're carrying a coffee, might have had a few issues there. And this is South Hampstead. Yeah, I think Daisy, who as a conductor, senior conductor, I think, for London North Western, recorded all the sounds herself. And this is obviously the point about the branding. There's no branding on the train at all. Pendolino races by. Another one. Anybody tries to tell you this is a quiet route, well, it's not. There's obviously no LNWR branding on the stations either, but I've got a feeling there'll be a mod uploaded to Train Sim community pretty quickly. I think what I might do when I do the Bakerloo line train, rather than do a full run from Harrow and Wealdstone, I might do one from Stonebridge Park Depot to Queen's Park, make it a bit shorter. And then I'm not sure yet about the 66. We'll do some of the 66 just to give you a feel for it. Another Pendolino. I just wanted to give this a fair old try out really, and I installed it last night. It took me about 2 or 3 hours to get it installed because it went live about 6 o'clock, but of course every man and his dog was uploading it, and I thought, right, let's try to get every loco and multiple unit that's in the game, that's in the add-on. Let's give it a bit of a spin out and try and present a pretty detailed look at things. So a bit of a gap here to Watford Junction. And there's some debate about whether these Tring services have got all the right stopping patterns. Now what we'll do this time is we'll get that into a higher mode, and then when we pass over the M25 we'll see if there's any traffic on it. Don't think we quite get into the realms of Train Sim World traffic jams yet, but you never know. Oh, we were a bit slow there for the 75. Right, this is the oh, I've been fooled again. Let's have a quick. Anyway, we've got more things to worry about than the M25. But I mean, it's obviously not perfect, but there are bits of this route that are just photographic. And you know, I mean, I've been running this for 3 hours. The time's just absolutely sped by. One of these old videos suggested that the slow line tunnels, of which we're going through here at Watford Junction, are haunted. Do you know, I never looked at that thing up there, by the way, and there is, yeah, you can now see a lot better. So I know to get back. I mean, there is something that's a bit unrealistic. I know that again with the Train Sim Classic version of this, you kind of have to set something up to get that thing working so as you then can get power on the train, but stopping at oh no, Watford Junction and London Euston. We're not stopping at Harrow and Euston on this one. This is I can imagine there would be some fast services. Again, you can check all this on the real-time trains website, but I'm sure there are some pretty fast peak time services. I did read some fascinating views really on the forums, and I think if you'd believed everything that people talked about, you know, it was the worst route ever, it was abysmal, it was below standard, it was completely unacceptable, but I think you'll agree, well, personally speaking, I think it's pretty damn good. Right, so we're a bit early here. I mean, we're 4 minutes away. That's the one thing about train sim world. You haven't got that async keys thing where you can speed it up. Chance. Actually, we haven't showed you the inside, have we? Now, I think it should be green there, but I think they've gone for grey again. It's perhaps a little bit of a branding issue. I mean, things like that there as well. You know, you can see the disabled ramps. Now, I can't remember if we've got lifts at work on Watford Junction. Nice little seating area there. Oh, we just folded a scarf. Now we've got another train coming in. That's what I was looking for. Right, okay. Yeah. There you go. This is just to prove that the lifts do work.
Doors opening. Lift going down. Doors closing. Doors opening. Lift going up.
So we're not going to leave the platform, otherwise I'm going to lose where I am. But that proves I thought I'd lost my train then. Well, how frequent are they? They're very frequent, I think, is the reality, and this is rush hour. I think the reality is that not the 100% complete timetable is included, but it's pretty good. I mean, you've seen the amount of trains and all the various scenarios that I've run, and it's been pretty busy. I can only assume that the passengers there's a lot waiting, they aren't getting on. Perhaps they've seen my driving. I mean, the overground, for instance, should be every 15 minutes, and we haven't got a full timetable from dawn to dusk or dawn to night time really, that is every 15 minutes. There's parts of the day where it's every 15 minutes, but there's other parts of the day where there's a long gap. But there's some clever people out there on the community. I've got a suspicion that somebody will do that. I'm sure somebody will actually come up with an alternative timetable long before Dovetail Games attempt to fix it. And I think, as I say, it's the problem with the consoles as well, particularly the older consoles, and trying to get it to work reasonably. That's not, you know, an excuse, but so next stop is London Euston. I mean, oddly, we're on the slow lines at the moment. I mean, now that we're running fast to London Euston, aren't they going to route us onto the fast lines? We shall see. I mean, I know there's a chap at Dovetail Games called Joe who created the timetable for the London-Brighton route, and there was something like 2,000 services overall, whereas I think this is something like just under 700. But from what I understand, I think he created a lot of that kind of in his own time and through lunch times, and he just wanted to get it perfect. But I think he was working on other things when this route was created. The timetable's a bit slack though. I mean, that suggests, I mean, we arrived at Watford Junction about 4 minutes early. It's a busy old line. It's the busiest line in the country, the West Coast Main Line. This is a brand new train for the game. 350. There we go. 12 miles or so to London Euston. It's a bit of a learning experience for me, this first live stream and all that. So I hope in terms of watchability it's okay. actually bother going up to the 100 there, because it seemed as though the 90 was coming up pretty quickly. So I think again when we get to London Euston we'll close the game down again. I'm just always conscious that, you know, you could run services back and forth, but eventually it will dump. One thing missing, by the way, on this route, and that's the neutral sections. And I think they kind of gave a flimsy excuse and said, well, modern trains kind of work it out themselves, but I'd still like to hear it, because you hear the sound popping out, and it seems slightly not great not to have them in. I don't know whether that will be put in at a later date. I'm not sure it'll be top of the priority list. So we got the 75 speed reduction noted. But it does stutter a bit, doesn't it? And sometimes the way it builds in, and sometimes some of the lighting isn't always perfect. But in the main, it's a very smooth operator. Got there, like the sound pops in and out, and that's a bit annoying when stuff like that happens. Depending on if you pre-ordered it and you're going to get it on the 17th, well, it's only Tuesday. My only concern is that I'm not going to do anything else. I've not seen the 75 there. Oh, I must have. That's the first time I've done it tonight. Have put the emergency brakes on. Well, it's not too bad going, is it? We're over 3 hours into the stream. actually. I forgot to look at this. As the No, I don't think it's working, is it? The GSMR at all on this. Be nice to have the new orange liveried LNWR units, and I think they could have a double advantage there, because they could use them on the Cross City line add-on. So that could do with a bit of a revamp, and then add the Pendolinos into Birmingham New Street, have the new EMUs on the Cross City line, and then have them on this line as well, and there would be plenty of use for them there. What I might do with the 66 is I might run it, say, from Wembley, Euston, wherever it's going from, and then take it as far perhaps as Watford Junction, rather than taking it all the way up to Milton Keynes. And then, but before that, we'll do the Bakerloo line, and we'll do a service from Stonebridge Park depot through to Queen's Park. Fortunately, the sounds are the default ones, and as soon as we can get the sound mod back in, then that'll be much better, because the sound mod isn't great on that. Yeah, another 350. Put a proper shift in tonight. Right, now this time, we're about 2 miles away from the platforms at London Euston, so it looks as though we've got two signals which are fairly close together, so I think this time we are going to get held. As though it's a signal that's actually in the tunnel. I've always thought what would be a great feature on Train Sim World is if it was possible to have like a random feature where, you know, on one day 20% of the trains were running on time, you know, and so on, just different variations, but you're going to get the same performance, where of course your own performance is going to be slightly different. Sometimes it'd be interesting to start the service off just late, run it 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, see how it affects the overall run. Primrose Hill tunnels. Something coming out. Just did some work. It's a bit of an awkward angle actually. Well, no, it's seen now, can't we? Pendolino. Oh, we had a 710 just disappearing away in front of us, I think. Yeah, in front of us. Well, there's definitely a train there in front. I think it was a 710. I think that's what's holding us up. There we are. We've got a single yellow anyway. Kind of means we don't want to be flying off at any great speed. I think we might be good to get us into the platform now, I would suggest. Another look at the old turntable. Camden, I think it's called the Chalk Farm Roundhouse. Yeah, but again, we've got a red before we get to the platforms. This is miles better than any scenario for Train Sim Classic, isn't it? This is what real train driving's all about. I mean, who's not been on a train into London Euston where you've been held outside the station? It certainly happens. And now I think we have got clearance into platform 10. Line C tells us. It's a bit of a memory jog sometimes. You're like thinking, I know the last signal was yellow some description. Please, was it double yellow? You know, again, your powers of concentration just have to be absolute. Yeah, we are signalled into platform 10. I love the detail on this contemporary as well, and damned accurate, isn't it? And there's that HS2 stuff over there. But this has been always a dream for many, many years, actually, of a decent West Coast Main Line route. I mean, I go back to Microsoft Train Simulator. I was delighted when that was first brought out and brought all sorts of quality in terms of having custom built stations and all that sort of stuff, but you know, in comparison to this, it was rubbish really. And the Train Sim Classic version was playable, but this is just another dimension, isn't it? Here we have a 710 adjacent to us in the platform. Love the wheel flange sound as well. Marvellous. Have a quick look at all our passengers moving up the platform. Quick look as well, what's the next service that this is going to form. Sorry mate.
All our trains and stations are no smoking
walk round me.
areas. Please do
So
not smoke
that's
until
due
you have
out
left
then
the
as
station
the
premises. This includes e-cigarettes.
0840. So Milton Keynes calling it various stations. There you go. Absolutely Hamilton. Yeah, you get the idea. Platform 1, Harrow Weilson, Bushy, Watford Junction, Kings Langley, Apsley, Hemel Hempstead, Berkhamsted, Tring, Cheddington, Lake Buzzard, Bletchley, Milton Keynes Central. I mean, that will be the slowest service that you can do in terms of passenger workings anyway. Lock the doors. Another gold medal. So, put that into neutral. Might as well knock those off. So we really want find the. Can't remember where the tail lights are. Anyway, we won't go too overboard on that. Just another quick run up the ramp. Yeah, right. 0838. I think I said 0848, didn't I? 0838. So. Yeah, I mean, it's looking pretty quiet at this point. I think we were just lucky earlier on because we just had a Vanti arrival and there was a load of people getting off it. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to exit the game again. And that's the only reason I'm doing that, just because you never quite know. You don't want it to dump on you. Right, I've worked out how to change the bit rate that it was talking about. There we go. Okay. Apply. Right, so let's load the game back up then. So we just got a couple more runs to do now, and then we'll bring proceedings to a halt. So we'll try and make these a bit quicker because I've been running for 3 hours or more already. Okay, so we're going to do a quick Bakerloo line one then now, just to again give you that feeling of what it's like alongside the West Coast Main Line, which we've had before, but with the wrong catenary, with virtually no traffic. You got the odd yeah, so what shall we do? We'll do a 0751 Stonebridge Park to Elephant Castle we want. 51. Well, no, it says Stone. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 755, that'll do it. Yes, to answer your question, yes, you could put Flying Scotsman. I don't know about with Pullman carriages, but there's probably some reskins out there. You can mess about with the formation planner, so you can put what you wanted, and you could just do it as a free roam, and just it would factor it into the timetable. So yeah, dead possible. Right, so just remind myself how to get this thing going. So control switches on. Now I like to do this thing here as well, cut out, because that means we can open the window. Right, so we need to put that into forward, he says. So we'll set this up to show Elephant and Castle, though we're only going to Queen's Park. It's only a 12-minute run. This will be a lot better when the
Please do not leave your
sounds
luggage
are
unattended on
redone.
station. Luggage left unattended may be removed without warning or destroyed.
Oh, I should have opened my passenger doors then, shouldn't I? I forgot I was actually at the platform. Will it let me open the door still? Yeah, some of the trains still at the station. We're all right. We've got away with that one. Yeah, off to Wembley. I have to say, and I've not seen detailed about the scenery surrounding it, but it kind of gives you that feeling that it's set amongst, not just amongst nothing. There's like plenty of buildings in and around as well. This is my first live stream, actually. But it's great to see the West Coast Main Line catenary in evidence. I mean, that was... It just looked wrong, the previous iteration of Bakerloo line, because we had they used the Great Western Express catenary. Just looked completely inaccurate. And now, you know, we've got other trains. You can see a 350, or is it Pendolino? You've got other trains anyway racing through. Of course, you don't get AWS with this thing. Passenger kind of having a bit of fight trying to get out. See some detail gone into the catenary. Again, it brings some life to this. I mean, I'm not going to do it tonight, but once I've got the Bakerloo line, the old version added in, then you just take this as far as Queen's Park and then jump straight into Bakerloo line and take it through to Elephant and Castle. But I'm going to wait until we get that sound pack done really. I mean, there's already a brilliant sound pack for it, but we just need an updated version of it. I don't know if they've done something to the physics on it though a bit, because I suppose it's driving the Aventra really that's the difference. This feels very much sluggish in comparison. So, Euston Junction again. I'll tell you what I've forgotten to do, and I always forget on this, and that's to put the passenger lights on, but luckily we've not gone through the tunnel area yet.
For your safety and comfort, this station operates a no-smoking console.
Good to see you've got some standing passengers as well, and actually it looks absolutely rammed. You'd expect for a service at this time of the morning. Kensal Green, then Queen's Park. Then we're just going to do a quick run, I think, on the 66. I'm getting quite tired now, I have to say. A long stream. But I think what it has showcased really tonight is the sheer variety on offer with this piece of DLC in its own right. And I think each of the services just brings something, and also, I mean, people moaned about the length of it, saying it should have gone to Rugby, it should have gone to Northampton, it should have gone to Birmingham New Street, but it's just a nice length. I mean, okay, doing it the way we've done it, we've done a lot of services in one go, but just have one little half an hour run, one 50-minute run. That variety with the DC line stuff as well. This is what was missing before. I mean, this part of the run used to be just looked so bare. It was just boring actually. About this lighting through the tunnels, there might be a few glitches with the lights. So this is Kensal Green. I don't think the stations are massively different than what we had previously. There is the 66 of a freight working. We have to watch the signals because we've got a single yellow, and that's the thing you see, and this didn't exist before, but you could be driving Bakerloo line train, you could be very much held because there's a Aventra overground service blocking your way. going to go moving away at great speed. I think I'll have to zoom in a bit. There's the thing. Ah, there we go. Yeah. So we have got clearance. I mean, it might be an approach control signal actually with Queen's Park. It probably always shows red. Well, over 600 people have watched at least some of the stream tonight, so thank you very much for anybody that's watched. When you're operating on Train Sim Classic, you kind of get the feeling that, sorry, Train Sim Classic, when you're operating the Bakerloo line, you kind of get the feeling that you're actually driving through the sheds. But certainly keep an eye out on the Train Sim community website for all the mods that will come out. And the signalling on this thing is immense, isn't it? Because that 66 had been brought to an absolute standstill, but has now got the clearance and is on its way. So I must check what the route. I mean, I haven't got Bakerloo line installed at the moment, but I must check what the button is. But essentially, you just press route hop, and then you'll be in the same station at the same time. How are we doing for passengers now? Oh wow. I don't think I've ever seen the Bakerloo line looking so full. I mean, that was one of the other criticisms of the original route. And that seems to be a consistent theme. We've looked at these rush hour trains, and they've actually looked as full as they should be. Right, so that's that then. So finally to the Class 66. Which I know isn't all that exciting because it's been out for a long time. It's just a slightly different livery for it in DB colours. I mean, as you can see, I mean, these runs are basically all 50 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour and all that sort of stuff. So we'll just do a shortish part of it, I think. Oh no, we don't want 2:90 in the morning. No. Yeah, we'll go for something a bit later in the morning this time, 10:38. They don't tend to have so many freight trains in and around rush hour. So here is the Class 66. refinery. Like how the jacket that I've got on for this one. Oh, what do you do here now? Yeah, that's it. That's how you put it in, do you? Oh no. This is a sign of tiredness, isn't it? Day running. Yeah, that'll do us. Now, the secret with this, it takes a while to actually release the brakes, and you can't just put this into full power and expect things to happen. We're just waiting for that to go down a touch. And the secret is to sort of accelerate a little bit slowly. It'd be quite nice if we got held for a signal somewhere and then we could literally end things. Yeah, we're running. Yeah, I think that's the amateur. Obviously we don't want to be getting the red area, you won't get the thing moving. You don't want to overload it. I think I'd be in danger of falling asleep if I did the full run to Milton Keynes at this point. Right here now you feel as though we're on a bit of a different path as well. You know, the West Coast Main Line is up there. Spotted that one. Slow down to 20. Don't think it'd be the done thing to be running a freight train when you're supposed to be going at oh, now we're in trouble. We've got to start this big heavy thing on a hill. because I don't drive freight very often. Oh, we're moving. Just about. We are climbing a hill. Basically at Wellston we've just come off a yard. And I said I shouldn't have that thing in the red area. We've got it in the red area at the moment, but at least we've got it moving. You know, we've had the fast running, we've had the 125 mile an hour, we've had the LNWR services, we've had the Aventra. It's just a nice bit of variety. And we're making our way out onto the West Coast main line proper. Well, I think, to be honest, I need a bit of practice on this one. At least you've seen it, you've seen what it looks like, and you can see the lovely wagons. Is that held at a signal? Train down there. It is, isn't it? Probably me holding things up. Oh. Right, okay. Well, I think we're going to call it a day with that. So I hope very much you've enjoyed it, and really pleased that people that have watched, and thanks for all your comments. It's been an honour and a privilege. So let's quit the game. And thanks for watching. Well, I hope very much that you like and subscribe. And as I say, plenty, I think, to get interested about with this West Coast Main Line. And it's a very, very good route. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've enjoyed showing it off, and I'm sure that many, many people will thoroughly enjoy this. So, like I said, if you could like and subscribe on the channel. I'm Powerflower, Trains and Planes, and until the next live stream, this was the first. It's goodbye from me.